Hey everyone, my name is David Dunbar, the theme park evangelist. I was going to check my bank account this morning to see if the $600 stimulus check that President Trump signed earlier this week had finally gone through yet. Because still waiting on that to go through so I can hurry up and pay back my roommate Zane the money I owe him for rent. And of course, the day that or the very first day of the year, I should you know we should enter, and just the very first day of the year period is the same exact day that their website, my bank's website, decides to break down. Go figure, right? And of course, I probably may not be able to go on their website again until maybe late tonight, early tomorrow morning. We'll see what happens. But I'm just like, what are the odds? But apparently, if I don't see it by, tomorrow, they're basically saying that it could be anytime between earlier this weekend, January 4th, or I can just keep waiting until January 15th, which is basically the cutoff for everybody to get that. And then if I don't even receive it until by then I have to make sure when I go to do my taxes later and like by early January. So, well, not early January. I'm so sorry. Early February, late January is what I meant. To make sure I put down that I did not receive the $600 because that's what they told me to do. And I still don't know if they will tax anybody for the stimulus check. So I guess we'll see what happens. Anyway, so speaking of Disney, because this is my Disney bank I've owned for a little over 8 years now. Well, we'll just say eight because it will be 9 years this September that I've had it. I would like to talk to you guys about my next chapter of life as a working Disney cast member. So I know Christmas was exactly a week ago today, which is weird. We've had two holidays fall back to back on a Friday, and of course this is the second week in a row my church paid me on the same exact day that Myra did. So how did that work out? And because Christmas was exactly a week ago, this shouldn't be too weird. And a lot of people still have their Christmas lights up, by the way, because Christmas was, only 7 days ago, as I said 3 times already. Anyway, so here we go. So, as you guys know, I transferred over to Magic Kingdom from Hollywood Studios around December, and I got a chance to work at Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, or during Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. So, right around the time that Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party started happening, the costumes for that event came into the costume building where you go get your costumes for the park. So I probably have talked to you guys a little bit about the costume building, but I'll go into a little bit more without being too specific, because once again, don't want to ruin the Disney magic. So the Magic Kingdom costume building is literally the largest costume building on property, and it's also over by Disney's laundry facility called Disney's Textile Services. Basically, all of Disney's laundry that they have, like from every resort, every theme park, anywhere on Disney property, all goes there and gets washed. Now, pretty much every single costume building, including the one underneath Magic Kingdom, because there's actually a costume center for some of the entertainment cast under Magic Kingdom. They have their own laundry machines as well, which is kind of cool as well. But anyway, despite all that, we're gonna just talk about the main one at Magic Kingdom. So you're gonna come to this like giant building, and of course you have to have your Disney cast member blue ID to get in, and it's this enormous thing. My dad did take me into one many years ago, and what before I was a cast member. I don't know how he got away with it, but okay. And I always kind of knew about the secret behind Disney, so it's not like I saw anything that was just like, whoa, I didn't know about that. Because when your dad works for Disney, this some things just don't surprise you. So when you do see it for the first time, even when you're like young, it still is like, oh, okay, cool. It is what it is. And then, of course, I got a little older and did go and work for Disney, and still not a surprise to me. But yeah, it literally stretches everywhere from their holiday section all the way down to the very last land that you can find, like within Magic Kingdom. You can find even jackets that are themed appropriate to that land. So Magic Kingdom, of course, is the most strict park out of all the Disney parks as far as theming goes, and as far as making sure that you don't wear anything that's like out of place in another part. Like I would never expect to find Woody in Tomorrowland or Buzz in Frontierland and vice versa. So you go into this costume building, and during Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, all the way on the left side was all the Christmas party costumes, and Disney has everything from very small to very large because they want to make sure everybody can fit something. And the funny thing about Disney costumes are you always want to make sure you get something that's a little bigger than your current size because ironically Disney costumes are actually a little smaller than they say they are, which is really weird. So, there was a lot of people that would go and get the costumes for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. I did work it one time, and one time only, and I spent so much time getting down on my knees to put bracelets on kids. The very next day I was sore all over. I was like, yep, I'm not doing that again. Not to mention I got lost, and then I got yelled at for getting lost, and I was like, what, whatever. I've never actually worked at Main Street USA, so like, it is what it is. And I didn't really want to be penalized when I've never actually worked in that part of the park before. I could understand being late for Tomorrowland Speedway when I know exactly where I need to be. I know exactly how long it takes for me to get there, and I know everybody I work with. If I'm late for that, I could completely understand, it being completely my fault, and then I would, take full responsibility for it. But it was like the one time I was late doing like the bracelets for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. I kind of thought in the back of my mind, yeah, whatever, that's why I'm not going to come back and do this again, especially when I was treated this badly. And part of me just kind of wanted to clock out and just walk out and just like, I'm done. But I did, and I finished up my shift. In fact, that's kind of reason why I was so hesitant about picking up one of those shifts in the first place. And now I understand why I've only done it one time. But honestly, Tomorrowland Speedway, working there during Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, honestly, the biggest difference between working at Tomorrowland Speedway on a regular day versus a not so scary day versus a Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party day. So, not so scary day, you would get people that would come in their Halloween costumes. And the same exact year that I started working at Magic Kingdom was, of course, well, how should I put this? Let me start over. I started working at Magic Kingdom in 2017. And I worked a full year because I started in late November and I stayed all the way until late November of the following year, early December of the following year. So maybe a little over a year. Well, I never worked Mickey's Not So Scary that year because I was over at Hollywood Studios, right? So when I did show up at, Magic Kingdom, I did finally work at Mickey's Very Merry. But when I did do Not So Scary the following year, it was kind of cool. Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet had just came out. So a lot of people were really excited about it, or was coming out. So a lot of people are like really excited about it. A lot of people are dressing up as the cast from that movie, like the characters, I should say. I saw a lot of Ralphs. I saw a lot of Vanellope's. I saw even Turbo, which is weird because Turbo never actually made an appearance in Ralph Breaks the Internet. But, the original Wreck-It Ralph movie was such a big hit that I can understand why people were so pumped up about the sequel. And then, of course, my brother and I went and saw the sequel at our old movie theater, and we were kind of disappointed, to be honest. I thought it would be better, and I honestly believed the whole rumors about Mario making an appearance and never did, and I was disappointed in that sense, too, but so that's pretty much what it was like to work Not So Scary, but Very Merry. I saw like a lot of people coming in their Christmas outfits. You saw like people coming in PJs, matching PJs. A lot of people were trying to finish up their hot chocolate. You would tell people, "Oh, take your time," and they were like trying to quickly finish it up and like throw it out in the trash can, which was right there where you were standing, loading people in the cars, and then they would run to their car and they would jump right in. And sometimes, you would find people that would try to sneak food in the cars, and I always loved Not So Scary in the sense that sometimes we would find popcorn all over the vehicle, and just like, oh, great. So we had to go and clean it up later. And that's the reason why you can't eat and drink on a Disney ride, because of that reason. But, it was all fun in the long run. And, I always enjoyed being over at the track closest to the station. I remember one time I was just standing there and I looked to my right, and I'm not even lying, I saw dancing deer and dancing polar bear. And I thought I was seeing things, but then I shook my head and I remembered, oh, that's right, I'm at Magic Kingdom. Anything can happen here. And, the guests were just in cosmic rays, just dancing at the polar bear and dancing at the deer, or the reindeer, like, this is normal. Apparently at Magic Kingdom, that is normal. So, yes, if you go to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, and if you go after the pandemic is, all over, when they actually do bring back Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party again this year, because last year it was canceled due to the pandemic, yes, you can dance at the deer. Yes, you can dance at the polar bears. I have met the Coca-Cola bear over at Disney Springs back a couple of years ago, and I thought it was funny. So you guys probably remember the video footage I did of meeting the Coca-Cola polar bear. And there was the lady that was, saying to me while I was videotaping all the pictures that she was going through really fast, "You better not be taking any pictures." And I'll tell you the reason why I was not taking any pictures. Number one is Disney has a very strict rule when you are looking at professional photos. If you're going to, look at any professional photos, they are for your eyes only unless you want to buy them. Then you can do whatever you want with them. Any professional photos, Disney officially owns the rights to. There really was nothing that I was going to be able to do with my phone other than videotape them. And honestly, she was going through them so fast that it was going to be like a blur. If I had taken like a picture of them, yes, you would have probably seen maybe a couple of them that looked really good. But honestly, I have a very strong belief that if I'm going to take any kind of pictures, it's going to be my own, and that is the photos that I'm going to insert into the vlog later. By the way, I mentioned earlier that Disney is really strict about, or Magic Kingdom specifically is really strict about, their whole theming and all that fun stuff. So I remember on this day, if I'm not mistaken, it was this day a couple of years ago. I was working at Magic Kingdom. If I'm not mistaken, it was 2018. So how did that work out? So yeah, it was this day 2 years ago, and I was, you know, working that morning at Magic Kingdom. Now I didn't know it was going to be that cold that night, and the only pants I had brought with me were work pants. They were khakis, and I didn't really feel like wearing work pants to play around the park in. TJ and Kay had decided, well, we're going to show up at the Magic Kingdom tonight, and we're going to play around. And I was like, sure. And I guess President Trump had just got added onto the Hall of Presidents, I guess, not too long ago, which is weird, but I don't remember. But all I remember is TJ and Kay had specific, well, TJ at least had come for the specific reason of wanting to see President Trump in the Hall of Presidents. So, I'm like, okay, well, let me drive my car all the way around because you're not supposed to play in the park after you're done. Like at Magic Kingdom, it's very difficult. Once you get back on the bus at the Utilidors, you take the bus back to the parking lot, the cast member parking lot that's behind Magic Kingdom. So then you have to drive all the way around. Of course, I had to change out of my costume too. And the only clothes I had brought was a t-shirt and some shorts. I didn't even have my own jacket. All I had was a company jacket. I mean, it looked kind of like a normal jacket, so I figured I could get away with it. And keep in mind, it was in the 30s. It's about the same temperature as it is right now, except there's no wind or rain that day. So, I got on the tram, and I'm hunched over because I'm so cold. And I probably would feel the same way even now. And I finally caught with them, and they were just laughing at me so hard, like, what were you thinking, you idiot, And we actually saw people on Splash Mountain, even though it was freezing out. And I still don't know how I did it. We had a professional photo taken in front of Cinderella's castle that night with it all decorated for Christmas. I'm in my short... my shorts, my short sleeve shirt, and the company jacket. I had it turned inside out. I'll tell you guys about that story in a minute. And I honestly still managed to keep a professional face. In fact, I'm going to use that picture as my custom thumbnail so you guys will know what I'm talking about. Because I have that same photo saved on my Facebook. And the reason why I have a copy of that photo is because we did actually pay for that photo. Actually, TJ did, if I'm not mistaken. And I still laugh at that photo 2 years later, or 3 years later, I should say. 3 years later, I still laugh at that photo. I said 2 years ago by accident when I was first mentioning it. But no, it's been 3 years since, that whole thing happened. If I were to ask TJ, do you remember that? And he would say, yes, he does. Oh my goodness, that was crazy. But the whole story behind the whole jacket thing, so I had gotten away with wearing it the proper way throughout the park. Well, in Tomorrowland, of course, I got away with it because it's the Tomorrowland jacket. And you would find it over in the Tomorrowland section of the costume building. And then, of course, I was over in Adventureland, and there was this cast member that finally noticed that there's something um, familiar about my jacket. I said, well, it's a Tomorrowland jacket. He said, well, you either need to turn it inside out, or you need to take it off and put on another jacket. I told him it's my only jacket. I didn't know it was going to be this cold out. I was very clueless that day about the whole weather. And there's some jackets, that company jackets, that you can get away with wearing anywhere. They have some company jackets that are like heavy duty black jacket and look just like a regular jacket. In fact, I have another story to tell you guys about that too. And I literally was forced to turn the whole jacket inside out just to make it look more normal. And no, it did not feel as warm on me, but hey, at least I didn't look like a cast member who was breaking the rules anymore. In fact, I was so proud of him. Later on, I went on the Disney employee website called The Hub, and I basically told him, give him a thank you note. I gave him a recommendation or whatever it call it, a recognition. That's it. I gave him a recognition. That's something that cast members can give each other via the hub, and I don't know if he ever got it or not, but I really hope he did, and I hope that he knew who it was from because I was very proud of him for standing up when nobody else chose to all night long. So that's the whole story about or behind how strict Magic Kingdom is on always making sure that you don't ruin the magic even when you're not at work. So hopefully you found that story interesting. But I have worked at Disney on New Year's Day quite a few times. In fact, the other time was at Animal Kingdom. I actually just randomly picked up the shift. I started getting interested in working at whatever you call it. Oh yeah, the whole Rivers of Light show back last year. No, sorry, I keep saying last year. I meant to say 2 years ago. See, I know it's 2021, but you always, whenever a year starts, you still have that really bad habit of accidentally saying last year. So you just be patient with me on that one. But 2 years ago, I started getting really interested in picking up random shifts over at Animal Kingdom. And one of those shifts was Rivers of Light on New Year's Day, if I'm not mistaken. And it was really slow and it was freezing cold out, especially over by the lake. And the only jacket that was left was a heavy duty black jacket that I got. And people were looking at me like, you're cold and you're wearing a heavy duty black jacket and the rest of us are wearing this light thing. And I was probably one of the first ones gone. I was like, I got to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm freezing. Like, this wind is ridiculous. Not to mention, I'm bored out of my mind. I just want to go home. I had already worked earlier that day at Magic Kingdom or something like that. I don't remember exactly where I was at that particular day. But all I know is it was, an extra shift I decided to pick up. I was trying to make some extra money. And this was one of those random shifts where I was able to see one of my coworkers, Shawnee, over at Flight of Passage, sorry, not Flight of Passage, sorry, Rivers of Light, who was doing the same exact thing, trying to make some extra money. And it's not like I needed it, but hey, it was extra overtime, and I wasn't gonna say no to it, but at the same time, I was like, I just want to go home at this point. I had already gone to Chick-fil-A to get some food, and I could have easily just gone home and saved myself money, but here I am trying to make few extra bucks, and, well, really more than that, but you know what I mean. I think I worked about 2 hours, and there was nobody coming at all. Like, everybody was having the same mindset. Nobody wanted to be outside that day. I have worked like a full shift over there, at least longer than that. And unfortunately, the problem with working at Rivers of Light when you're not exactly assigned to the show is they usually try to get rid of you anyway. They're like, well, you're an extra, so we're going to get rid of you. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I did end up going to one of the supervisors the night that was freezing, and I did ask, "Can I please go home early?" And they did kind of tease me a little bit, but they also didn't give me a hard time about leaving early either. I worked at Flame Tree Barbecue at Animal Kingdom one time, and I absolutely hated it because all I did was wash the dish. Sorry, well, not wash the dishes. All I did was clean the tables, and the manager gave me attitude for not taking care of the garbage cans, and I'm like, well, I've never worked at a fast food restaurant on Disney property where I had to empty the trash too. I was like, I didn't know I had to do any of this, and I think it was because of that manager that decided I'm never gonna come back and work there ever again. You know, you're never gonna have like a completely happy experience working at Disney, and it is what it is. Funny thing is, most of these extra shifts I worked at Disney were during the month of January. So at least I was able to tell you guys some funny stories about, some extra shifts that I picked up here and there. I was also able to tell you about the January 1st instead of 2018 when I was hanging out with TJ and Kay over at Magic Kingdom on that freezing cold night. And I also got to tell you guys a little bit about working at Not So Scary and Very Merry at Tomorrowland Speedway. And you also got to hear about a little bit about the night when I worked at Very Merry just putting bracelets on kids. I would probably say it would have been better if I didn't feel like I had to keep bending down all the time. But when you got kids that are literally coming up to your knee, and it's the Disney thing to get down on your knee, and when you're doing it literally every 30 seconds, yes, your knees are going to kill you. And it's even harder for me to get down now because I'm so fat and heavy. It's just like, I'm done. But let me check and see what the next chapter is on my life as a working Disney cast member. And then I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to tell you guys all about it before I head out of here and get some stuff done for before work. So I will see you guys in the next vlog. And always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great day. Peace out.